As an artist, you may think that by looking at reference images, you're behaving like an AI. Should you train yourself to copy images? Why is a human who can copy an image much more powerful than an AI who can copy an image? In this video, we're going to answer all these questions, and I'll explain why it's worth doing all these things, even in the age of AI. Along the way, I'll also dispel some myths that artists often have about AI. And lastly, I'll just be doing a little experiment while I talk about today's subject, drawing a face from reference, observing all the mechanisms in my drawing of it, and comparing that to what I know AI does, since I work a day job in AI research. And I actually drew a few conclusions from it that I'll recapitulate once the drawing is finished at the end of the video. Part 1. What does AI do? What do we do? The first thing you need to know about this subject is that you know nothing about it. I work in AI, and I don't know about it either. AI art models are trained on their own, without human interference, and we have no idea what they really do. It is the same for people. No one knows what goes on inside the brain. My neuroscientist colleagues certainly would agree. One parallel we could draw between AI and people is that for people, it's easier to draw an image when they look at reference images. For AI models, it's also easier to produce images if you give them an input image that they just have to copy. Do we, just like AI, just mechanically copy our reference images? Or does AI, just like us, get inspiration from its input images and transmute them into something new? For those of you who are artists, do you remember when you started drawing faces as a beginner? You were always drawing the same face, no matter what you were trying to copy. You just had that one memorized and couldn't deviate from it. There was no interpretation in such drawings. In much the same way, in AI, there's something called mode collapse, where when the models aren't trained right, they just learn to reproduce the same images over and over. When you train them right, it gets more varied, just like with humans. Now, I'm not arguing that using reference images we are doing the same as AI. What I'm arguing is that there is no absolute answer to this yet. But there are a lot of reasons that lead us to think it's perfectly fine to use reference images as an artist in the age of AI. Here are some of them. Reason 1. Actually, AI art models don't have any images as input when you prompt them with text. When you ask Midjourney for an image, it generates it completely from imagination, so to speak. Reason 2. AI, as it is now, is a much more simplistic system than our brains. We involve emotion, memory, thinking, planning, motor control, and so many other things we haven't even discovered about ourselves that are working in the background at all times. AI, on the other hand, is hyper-specialized to an extreme, parts of it being trained literally just to predict the next word in a sentence, and others being trained to compress images. I think we can all agree that what drives human progress aren't goals as simple as these two goals that I've just listed, and that this means there's a lot more to the brain than there is to these current AI models. Part 2. Train on references. So, in copying images, we're probably not acting like AIs. In fact, there may be benefits to it helping us survive in the age of AI, compete with the AI. First of all, training yourself with reference images gives you an undeniable edge over AI artists. The kind of control you achieve, being able to control every single line in your drawing, is priceless. It allows for untold subtlety. In addition, since your hand is guided by your brain, that is all these emotional, historical, instinctual components, that kind of control you achieve through copying proficiency allows for a level of expression unreachable for those who rely on AI for rendering. Now, learning to copy as a human being is also much more impressive and powerful than learning it as an AI. This is because of something called the generative AI paradox, explained right here in this paper. What it can create, it may not understand. To make it quick, I'll explain what this means for us artists. For humans, we have to understand the world before we can produce replicas of it. All of us understand what faces are way before we can draw a face properly. In humans, understanding precedes the ability to generate, But generative AI is trained only to generate and not to understand. It completely skips the understanding step. It's not obvious how much understanding is achieved through pure generation. What does this mean for us? It means that when we have achieved the ability to copy, we are much further along than an AI with the same capacity for copying. That is because our understanding gives us many more capabilities to play around with the images we create than AI can, or by extension, those using the AI, since they'll be limited by it. Through this control, the space of art that you can create is much wider than that of the AI. Any non-trivial innovation on your part will be impossible for someone to prompt out of an AI. Thus, acquiring mastery by copying images actually allows you to be less like an AI. But there's a deeper reason why this kind of mechanical practice takes you further away from AI. Mastery is required if you want to really create something that matters. I'm not even halfway through my 10,000 hour road to mastery, and I do not expect to create anything very worthwhile until I get there. That is because the most important thing you get from a hard and grueling practice isn't mere technical skill, it is visceral, profound understanding of your craft, acquired through thousands of hours of living through the pain. We can put it that way. Inspiration is inseparable from mastery, which itself requires mechanical practice. So if you're an artist, practice any way you want, even if it kind of feels like what an AI would do. You yourself are not an AI, and your practice will give you a level of control, understanding, a capacity for novelty and inspiration that someone typing text into Midjourney could never hope for. Now, I created the Artpost AI channel to get help from the artistic community in solving the AI art problem individually through our art. I'd like to ask you guys, do you agree with the points I'm making here? How has your practice of arts changed since AI came around? Part 3, create from references. What about during actual creation? Should you copy texture from reference images? Should you copy gestures from a picture you enjoy? Doesn't that make you and your art AI-like? As I explained in part 1, there's no real absolute answer to this, but we can make a pretty educated guess. Mostly, all the things we've covered in this video also apply perfectly to what you do when you're actually making art. Meaning, even when you're copying stuff when creating your art, what you're doing is miles away from any kind of AI generator. So, what did I find out while copying a picture by hand? I followed a process that is apparent in the final result. You can see each of the lines I drew. You can see how I organized my shading step by step. You can see that I chose the direction of the lines to make them look less awkward. And you can see that all that the drawing is cross-hatched to lines. Now, if you look at an AI cross-hatching art, it lacks these aspects. The direction of the lines doesn't make it seem like they were drawn one after the other, because obviously they weren't. The shading isn't organized, and most of the time the AI cheats by adding tones on top of the cross-hatching lines. Can you guess why the AI fails to create art that looks like it was made by hand? Here's the answer. AI doesn't actually undergo a line-by-line process. It generates all the pixels in the image together, and as such, it mostly doesn't have the marks of the process. So here's a very concrete idea to make your art look authentic and human. Emphasize the marks of your art creation process, and you will stand out as an authentic human being. Alright, what did we learn in this exploration? What can we take away from it to help us safeguard our artistic careers against AI? First, nothing is set in stone because our level of knowledge about both AI and ourselves is limited. But our best guess is that not only does the use of reference not make our art more like AI art, but because of stark differences between ourselves and AI, such as the generative AI paradox, or differing processes, as well as the lack of emotion, memory, thinking, planning, motor control, and visceral understanding of our domain through the pain of mastery, using references actually gives us the freedom to deviate from AI and establish an authentic appearance to art. I thought that was a pretty fun video to make. Let me know if you liked it or not in the comments, and ask any questions that cross your mind. If you want to prepare yourself for success as an artist in the age of AI, and you're interested in more insight from an AI researcher who also does arts, subscribe to the Artpost AI channel. And lastly, if you're interested in supporting the channel, the only way that I've set up so far is through the Napkin affiliate link in the description. You can watch the little segment that's about to start, and if you want, click on the link in the description. And I guess I'll see you guys next time.
Putting talent to the test. Once my colors blended and the canvas sang our soul. Now the silence whispers, haze taken control. Farewell to the strokes, the shades, the lines. Bye bye, AI. Bye bye to the visions born of human minds. Bye bye, AI. Bye bye, AI. In this digital dawn, we stand apart. Know the artist's struggle, the triumph and the strife. Machines churn perfection.